this anger towards the vice mayor who doesn't know much about St. Augustine.
What happened?
St. Augustine Vice Mayor Barbara Blunder. She called the annual Nights of Lights gaudy this week.
Really?
Well, she's very granola. You know, everything is gaudy to her. If it shines.
She's from Atlanta, I found out.
If it's not dirt and bark, she thinks it's gaudy. Fancy. She pressed for a halt on advertising for the showcase. This is how much thought they're not putting into this situation. This is me being nice. Nights of Lights. Obviously, we've talked about this. Nights of Lights, big money generator for businesses downtown.
Saves businesses, saves jobs.
St. Augustine residents have been dealing with this for a very long time. Myself included, everybody in this room has been dealing with Nights of Lights as a resident, as a citizen of St. Johns County for a long time. We get it. We understand what the process is. We just don't go downtown during Nights of Lights. That's the time for the tourists. If we're going to cut advertising funding, and Troy may argue with me on this one, I'm sure he will. It sounds like he's already getting ready to.
Yeah.
If we are going to cut advertising, I think most residents that aren't on TDC would agree that we need to cut the year-round tourism. We need to cut back on the year-round tourism. We need to give locals a local season to want to go downtown, to want to be downtown, and want to support locals. I got to tell you, people in St. Augustine and St. Johns County want to go downtown. It's a beautiful area. It's great to walk. And they've got a lot of great stuff down there. They've got good food. They've got great shops down there. I buy a lot of gifts for people on St. George Street shops. I really do. They have beautiful, unique jewelry and things like that.
But you don't do it on the weekends of Night of Lights.
No, you don't do it on
You
know you don't go down there through November through January. That's the tourist season. That's the tourist season. But we need to stop with the year-round tourist season. Let's stop funding advertising for a few months after Nights of Lights. But downtown St. Augustine at this point needs Nights of Lights. Nancy Sykes-Klein's been on that board for a very long time, and Nights of Lights and bringing in tourists and advertising to tourists, you're getting what you wanted. You're getting what you wanted. You advertised to tourists. You wanted tourists to come. Now you're throwing your hands up and saying, wait, there's too many tourists. I'm suspicious of whoever's in the mayor's ear, by the way, on this. But look, it's just an easy solution. In my mind, in my opinion, we give locals a season. I mean, we just cut down on the tourism advertising all year round for some of the all year round stuff. You got to keep Nights of Lights at this point. It is a big financial driver, and I recognize that. But if you give locals the opportunity to support downtown, they will. But locals are upset about year-round tourism. They're not upset about Nights of Lights. They're just, we understand Nights of Lights. We're not upset about Nights of Lights. Maybe there's a handful of people, and I understand being more upset about Nights of Lights if you live in downtown. I totally understand that because it does affect every day. It affects your drive to work. It affects your drive back from work. It affects you going to the store. And I get it, but we're used to it. We all know that's the drill. So, I mean, cut down on some of the all-year advertising, but you got to keep Nights. You cannot throw Nights of Lights out. We just throw the whole thing out if we throw Nights of Lights out. And these commissioners, Blunder and Sykes-Klein, don't understand economics at all. And that's very, very evident from the last couple of years.
Yeah, because their paychecks aren't driven off of
Right.
Off of
They've
tourism,
never owned
so
businesses.
Their paychecks aren't driven off of that tourism. And, you know, we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Right.
People are coming. When we started Nights of Lights, I think we had 100,000 people that lived in all of St. Johns County.
Yeah.
And now we have like 350,000 people. We're a big metropolis now, whether people believe it or not, even though there's only 15,000 people live in the city of St. Augustine.
Right.
That number hasn't changed in, 100 years. It's like 12 to 15,000. And
we're talking about city limits, San Sebastian Bridge
inside
to the
city
fort.
limits.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out how to manage what we have. And, there's some measures that need to be in place. But I can tell you right now, I am really nervous about the next 2 years because of King Street. That bridge being closed down is going to be, you think it was bad this year.
Yeah.
the next 2 years, if we don't figure out how to make this manage better, because they're still going to be coming, and businesses have to be businesses. And I'll tell you, Pete, August and September were awful. If it wasn't for Sing Out Loud in September, we probably would have had to lay people off for the month of September because our numbers were that bad. So, as far as having an off season, as long as we have one good weekend in that month,
right? Let's get some pops.
We can kind of cover it and still make that happen.
Yeah.
What you're saying,
pops of tourism, sporadic pops of tourism.
August and September, businesses that are running, at this level are running almost at the basement, and it's a true challenge with the way our city is. And I live right in the middle and the heart of it, so I get to see the frustration of the people on the streets, and we got to just figure out how to manage it because it's not going away.
Yeah.
And we can't afford for it to go away. There's too many jobs and lives at stake. What's the saying? If your friend loses their job, it's a recession. If you lose your job, it's a depression.
Yeah.
So we could go into that with a lot of the things that are going on in our society with a lot of the expenses that are out there. So we got to be cautious on drastic moves with our economy.
Yeah, this is just one of the most outrageous, nonsensical proposals I've ever heard in my life. It has having to do with the city of St. Augustine. It doesn't make any sense, and of course, it doesn't make any sense because it just comes from people who know nothing about economics. And
does it have
running
anything?
The city.
Does it have anything to do with the noise ordinance thing that Nancy wants to pass? Is this an extension of that?
That's an interesting thing to bring into the mix.
And
I'm sure it's the same people asking her to do it.
And I'm not a hater on the noise thing. I truly am not. But how they enforce it's going to be the biggest challenge in keeping it consistent. Is you're going to have kind of a night manager type situation, and I think they should be human factor and computer generated factor, so it has some teeth with it on how they measure the noise. So after 10 o'clock, the residents that live downtown kind of would like a break.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and that's understandable. And Davey, when you said that, I was thinking more about maybe this is what you meant as well, but correct me if I'm wrong, the nightlife stuff.
Yeah.
The nightlife
That's exactly
stuff.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I wasn't in favor of the nightlife ordinance, but
Yeah.
I am in favor of the noise ordinance getting enforced because it's been on the books for a while. It's just the way it's written, it's hard to enforce either by law enforcement or code enforcement to have it have any teeth. So, you turn off your thing, that costs you $250 a night or something like that. You know what? I'm making that in 5 minutes.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay, it might be worth it just to go, I'm going to pay the fine.
Right.
So it has to have some teeth with it. And that's kind of where she was going with the nightlife ordinance, but it just went a little too far of the reach. Let's just start with the noise ordinance and get that one right, and then we can move to the next step.
And I'm shocked that you didn't drive home what you said a couple weeks ago about Disney pricing everybody out. I think that's absolutely valid to say because a lot of people, that's a big attraction, and people can't afford it anymore. So what are they going to do? They're going to find other attractions that, or like St. Augustine.
They're looking for family entertainment. And I can tell you the Night of Lights this year, to me, felt more family-based with the Latin community, which is where the VCB advertised in South Florida. You could see that advertisement was working, and it felt more family targeted. Wayfinding of getting people to a location where they can go and enjoy the lights is very important instead of driving around, and getting the word out that, hey, you are going to have to pay at least $20 for parking. Because a lot of people got here and it's like, it's free, but no.
You got to know ahead of time. Yeah, I agree with that.
You got to have a plan of where you're going to park.
Yeah, people like to plan.
And if we can kind of hand them that plan over, so that they're not doing circles around, and they're talking about some road closures and some other things. I
I
I'll be
think the
interested
quality
to
of
see their
tourists
work.
too are something to talk about too. We actually had really great tourists that visited us. I talked to Chief Michaud. We did not have that much crime. There's people in comments right now saying it was not safe. That's absolutely not true
Yeah,
at
it's
all.
not true.
It was really well run. It just needs to. We just need to manage it better. That's all.
Yeah.
And welcome to the next level. This is what it looks like.
No,
You got to do it.
Like I said, I'm in it every single day. We had wonderful visitors. They were frustrated. A lot of them frustrated about, I didn't know how to get here. And a lot of it had to do with when the parking, everything works perfect until the parking garage is closed. And then that's when the scramble starts.
Yeah.
When that scramble starts, that's when the chaos shortly follows. It's the chaos theory is, the closer you are to perfection, the closer you are to pure chaos.
So when is that Browdy's parking structure happening? Like, how much longer do we have to wait for this? Get that up, bitch! Like, come on.
I don't know. It should have been done a while ago.
Come on, break the ground, do the shovel
I
ceremony.
mean, that's
Let's
a massive
go.
way to keep cars off the roads in St.
Seriously,
Augustine.
move.
And I was not a big fan of the height on that thing, but it's a way better option than just scrapping Nights of Lights.
Right.
How stupid are you
That
to
is
even propose
really
that?
dumb. Yeah, that's not a bright thing.
It just doesn't make sense. She said it's not
gaudy.
heritage tourism. The blow-up Santa Clauses and the gaudy lights don't highlight our architecture.
But that's American culture. You can't erase that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
We
lady.
get rid of Nights of Lights, and that's 3 months of nothing. that
I'd be
we have.
happy
we
to have
just
this
have nothing
conversation
for 3
civilly,
nights.
but it's just not right. You can't just erase that. That's people's paychecks from now. We had Reggie on the other day and was like, "This is so important to my staff.
Millions.
They survive from now until May. I mean, that's major, guys."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, we got a good boost this weekend because it's Valentine's and it's race week, so we have a good weekend, and then it falls off again until bike week, and then, I mean everything.
And let me tell you something.
It's a roller coaster in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
and
it's expensive as hell. Rent downtown in downtown St. Augustine can be $10,000 to $20,000 in some areas every freaking month. So you take these big money makers away from businesses. Watch how nobody visits the city when we don't have any businesses to go to.
It's gonna be horrible.
I mean,
a
watch
mini recession.
everything dry up within a year. I mean,
Right.
everything will dry up within a year if there's no freaking,
Yeah,
if there's
the
no
experience-
food downtown, if there's no experiences, people can't afford to be on St. George Street. You are quite literally destroying every business in downtown St. Augustine. You cannot afford to pay $10,000, $20,000 a month when you're not bringing in people, when
Right.
you're not bringing in those boosts along the way.
well, I mean, I did the interview just a couple of days ago with for Action News or whatever for the new Treasury building.
Right.
And people were like busting on me about, well, it's going to drive more traffic. Believe it or not, my business office is going to have more trips and visits than my hotel, because my hotel guests, the ones that stay at the Hilton, the ones that stay at Best Western, the ones that stay at the Renaissance, and the ones that'll stay at this one, and I'll throw the Casa Monica in there too. The ones that stay there, they park, and then they have the
It's their
full,
walking
they have
distance
the
to
full
everything.
experience, and it
Yeah.
becomes a walking city.
Old Town trolleys, they hop on a trolley and get further down the road if they
Right.
want to, but we've got a system.
But some people just, they're in the politicians' ears, and they just want to be angry, and they don't want to bring any solutions to the table.
That's what I'm not
And-
hearing is any viable solutions at all. It's
Yeah.
just these, nightlife ordinance. Take care of, get rid of Nights of Lights. These do not make practical sense.
Can't erase that
They don't
culture.
solve anything.
Yeah.
They
important.
add more problems. So sure, do this. Blunder and kill St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Just kill it. Blunder and Sykes, do it.
No,
Fine, whatever.
And I don't know, like I said, neither one of them are in a hospitality business.
Neither one of
And-
them are in a business in general. What do they
and
do?
it shows.
It shows every time they talk economics. They don't understand. It's clear to people.
Voodoo economics.
It's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. But we keep electing these people who don't understand how to run things. You're running something. You're running a city. You need to understand how to run things. And economics is a pretty important part of that.
Yeah, and the problem is the quality people that were business people that used to be our representatives. Now the way social media is set up,
They don't want to do it.
they don't want to do it. They don't want to
do
be under attack.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And, That
Gotta listen
sucks.
to the people.
Because I've talked to quite a few people over the years who would have been perfect in office.
No,
and who would have done a great job, who are smart, very intelligent, very business savvy, but they say the same thing you do, Troy, is I'm not putting my name on the line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like they make one call, they make one decision on the city commission, and they're scared that they lose half of their business, you know, and they can't do that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
That's their livelihood.
I mean, and we have quality people in there, but I mean, like a guy like Mike Davis, he would be perfect. You know?
Yeah.
But if he goes in, it could hurt his business.
Yeah.
Because of the way he's making decisions. Now, I give a lot of credit to like a Clay Murphy,
Mm-hmm.
who owns a business.
Yeah.
And he's put himself out there.
Yeah, man.
So I mean, you know, you gotta kind of reward them for those actions too. It's very brave to do that, and it is a risk. You know, so it's you know, it's kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah.
And hope for the best. You know. 'Cause
Yeah.
the beauty of it is we have 5 to make a decision, and every once in a while, if one gets off the reservation, the other 4 can possibly bring them back, and that's kind of the balance that we have to lean into to make our government stay in balance.
Yeah.
So,
You know, there's a couple people on there who just go along with whatever the last person said.
Yeah.
And that's not helpful at all.
Yeah. So I mean, there's. I'm not saying there's not legitimate concerns. So I don't want people to say,
Right. Yeah.
say I'm poo-pooing it.
Yeah.
There are legitimate concerns
Absolutely.
of how we manage it, but it's not going away.
Yeah.
You know, you can call it names what you want to call it, but it also is what's paying the bills for thousands of your residents that you're representing.
Yeah.
So, you know, words will stick with you.
And I think that's a really tough thing that goes into this equation. And we're over on time a little bit, and we're going to wrap up soon. But I think that is a really important thing that goes into the equation, because these decisions hurt the local business owners in St. Augustine, but the business owners are not necessarily the voting residents of St. Augustine. In many cases, your business owners are not voting for leadership in St. Augustine because they don't live within the city limits. So, you know, they're kind of at the whims of these few folks who just don't understand business, and how to keep a business afloat, and how to make money, and sustain life. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
It's a tough spot, man.
But people have to have these conversations. We have to open up and have these conversations.
Yeah.
Shutting down to the public is not having a conversation.
Yeah. You know,
And I'm sure they're exhausted, but this is the position that they put themselves in on talking about it. You have to be able to have it. We have Been 39 on the afternoon show, and I'll tell you, Katie right away will be like, that was incredible grace to, like, my staff is happy and like healthy, and it was a beautiful season. Yeah, they worked hard. They're exhausted, but yeah, they went through it.
There was people, like, I'm telling you right now, and I keep going back to August and September and even part of October.
Right, true story.
I mean, people fell behind. I mean, and we're talking paycheck to paycheck people, and, you know, you think we have a homeless problem now? Take night lights away and find out how bad it gets.
Yeah, I mean, downtown crumbles